All right. So I'm in Genesis 26, reading on a story between Isaac and King Abimelech, king of the Philistines. So Isaac gets told by God, because of a famine, to leave their land and go into the Philistine territory, and that God would bless him and prosper him there, that he would have numerous descendants, and that he would be blessed in that land. And so he does. He listens to God. He takes that promise into his heart, and he goes to the Philistine territory. He runs into King Abimelech. Basically, after meeting King Abimelech and a situation with him and his wife, Abimelech allows him to live there. So he plants his first year's crop, and God blesses it 100 times over what he planted. And so Isaac became a very wealthy man. He had herds and lots of goats and different sheep and crops that reaped him 100-fold what he planted. But the Philistines in the territory became jealous of that, and they got angry. And in their anger and jealousy, they filled his wells with dirt. Anyway, so after filling his wells with dirt, King Abimelech comes and speaks to Isaac and says, hey, you have to go. You can't stay here anymore. You're going to have to travel on. We don't want you here. You're causing too much disruption. And so he goes. Isaac leaves, takes all of his family, everything that has grown, and he leaves. All of his wealth, everything that he had with him. He goes to where Abraham has dug his wells and digs up all of his father's wells. And then he goes to the valley of Gerar. And in the valley of Gerar, this is what Genesis 26:19 says. Isaac's servants dug in the valley and discovered a well of fresh water there. But the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen and said, the water is ours. So he named the well Esek, because they disputed with him. Then he dug another well. But they quarreled over that one also, and he named it Sitnah. He moved on from there and dug another well. And no one quarreled over it, and he named it Rehoboth, saying, now the Lord has given us room and will flourish in the land. So I sit here and I was wondering, what do each of these wells signify? What do they mean? And God put it on my heart to kind of look it up, right? If you don't know what something is, sometimes you just look it up so that you can understand what he's trying to communicate in it. And so I look up Esek, the first well that he dug, and it was called, Esek translates to argument. So obviously Isaac's herdmen and the people of Gerar were arguing, and so he named that well Argument. Mind you, he's just gotten kicked out of the land that he had planned to stay in because the Lord told him to. And the first well that he could draw from was the well of argument. Funny. And then he goes to, and he travels some more, and he goes to and digs another well, and he calls it Sitnah. Sitnah means hostility. It's because people had quarreled. They quarreled. And when people quarrel, it's not just like an argument like the first one. It is hostile, right? It is fights. So people were fighting over this well, and which is why it was named Sitnah. So imagine, the first well he could have drawn from was the well of argument. The second well he could have drawn from was the well of hostility. And then finally he travels farther, and he gets to the third well, and that one's called Rehoboth. Now, Rehoboth means open space. So finally, in the last well that he was given, God gave him open space to draw from. And the Lord ordered that there would be enough open space for them to prosper at that well. So, of course, he stays at open space. He stays at the well of Rehoboth. So I was sitting here thinking, and I'm like, you know what? When you're rejected, the first well you're going to draw from is going to be an argument. You're going to argue over the situation. The second well you want to draw from is going to be hostility. You're going to get hostile with the person. And the third well that you hope to draw from is space. You're going to need some open space to heal from the situation. So be thankful for the time that God allows you the open space to draw from. I sure am. Because eventually, as you will find later on in this story, King Abimelech is going to come knocking again. It says in Genesis 26, meanwhile, Abimelech had come to him from Gerar with Ahuzzath, his personal advisor, and Phicol, the commander of his forces. Isaac asked, "Why have you come to me, since you were hostile to me and sent me away?" And they answered, We saw clearly that the Lord was with you. So we said, there ought to be a sworn agreement between us and you. Let us make a treaty with you, that you will do us no harm, just as we did not molest you, but always treated you well and sent you away in peace. Now you are blessed by the Lord. Isaac then made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Early the next morning the men swore an oath to each other, and then Isaac sent them away, and they left him in peace. That day Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug. They said, "We've found water." And so he called it Shiba. And to this day, the name of the town there is Beersheba. Now you're probably wondering what Shiba means. And they called it the oath. So eventually King Abimelech is going to have to come. The one who rejected you is going to have to come and knock on your door and make a treaty with you. Eventually he will. After he rejects you, after you've dealt with the anger, after you've dealt with the hostility, after you've been given enough open space, eventually King Abimelech will have to come make a treaty with you. So just remember that. It doesn't matter. If the Lord is on your life, eventually they're going to need you again. So just give him some open space. Draw from the well of open space in the meantime. Heal from whatever situation that was. And eventually you will be blessed even more for giving that open space. And you'll find water again. A well of water. Have a good day.